Why nobody is hiring software engineers right now by the senior dev. All right, my name is Chris Dennis. I'm a KMP developer. Tech support said they're coming out for that. So we're gonna review and watch along because the software dev market right now is tanked. Everyone pretty much knows that already, but it'll come back. It always comes back. It always has to. There's too much. There's too much work available for it not to come back. Let me get my big head out of the way here and close down here, and let's see what he has to say. I'm gonna speed him up a little. Or not that one, ding dong. This one.
Whenever I hear people talking about the state of the software development job market, this graph pops up. Basically, the number of open tech jobs ever since 2022 up until now. Right? We went from almost 500,000 openings to barely not even approaching half of that, roughly 2000, maybe 30, 2040s as of now, 2025. Now, of course, if you see this graph, you won't be very optimistic about the market. And I think there's a problem with that because the reality of software development jobs and of the market as a whole, it's more complex and it's not as depressing as most people want you to believe. I think a more interesting graph is this one. This is a normal skill distribution applied to developer skill. We will talk about this in depth, but let's assume this is a skill distribution in a normal market, specifically in the software development job market, where we are mapping out the number of developers by skill level. Basically, we see under the junior and mid-level level is where most people, let's say roughly 80% of the distribution of the people will be below what is considered senior, and then above senior, about the 20%, this is people that are very experienced experts sit here. Now, again, this is the normal state of an industry. Yet right now in software industry, we find ourselves into a skewed distribution. This skewed distribution, it's mostly due to tons of junior and mid-level devs who entered the sector in the last 5 years, and of course the management layer on the other side that formed to manage these people. We will analyze these curves in depth because what's actually happening right now in the market.
Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of juniors and low mid levels who just got in and that's past pump, and they're still in the market saying where did all the boot camp grads and everyone that was like jumped into software development or what they thought was software development. Yeah, and they're early. Yeah, there's just so many of them because they were told it would be to the moon forever, and they got in there for the money, and they got their new and their skills don't match actually what is needed these days, and it sucks. But they were told that because so there's a group of people that are like that. There's a bunch of them, and then yeah.
Market is not that software development jobs are disappearing. We are simply going to a big correction. Things are changing, but it's not the end of the world. If you understand the patterns that are emerging in the market, then you can adapt and make sure you have a thriving future as a software engineer. So in today's video, we are going to understand what's happening right now in the software development job market. Based on that, we will understand what's the best thing you can do if you're a software engineer looking to get hired right now. And finally, what does the future hold for software engineers? But first, let's understand how we got here in the first place. And the story goes like this, right? First, we had cheap money for the last 10 years. After the big financial crisis, government wanted to stabilize
Well, it's a conflation of things.
the economy. And so the central banks dropped interest rates. Of course, cheap money, it's addictive, so we forgot to raise them up. When they were just about to tighten this monetary policy, COVID hit, so then we had, again, cheap money. And now, 2024 and 2025, with inflation going to the roof, central banks saw themselves forced to actually correct this. Now, with the financial sector being in trouble, a lot of this cheap money went to the companies, which got used to having infinite amounts of cash for their project. Not only that, but
Right. That's the thing. So a lot of these people, they were pantomiming companies, but it was kind of fake because, well, it was really fake because the money was cheap. It's like low. You can't go 0%. And just expect your business model to do like, oh no, we're 0% forever. Everything's fine. No, we just print to the moon and there'll be no corrections anywhere. And they were getting away with it. The thing is, they were getting away with it because they were shipping that money offshore. But when the money was starting to come back and inflate the asset prices, a lot of it went offshore. But then they started to inflate the asset prices. People were like, whoa, I can't afford to live anymore. And it was the housing stuff that really started to. The stock market part wasn't that bad. This is the one that when they started putting money into the housing, that's when people were like, wait a second, what the hell's going on? When middle Gen Z's totally priced out, and they're just like going, and the boomers like, make it rock to the moon.
But as I mentioned, in 2019, 2020, the COVID pandemic hits, and what happens? People are locked up, so they are online a lot more. They buy stuff online. Tech companies are the companies that can work very well with remote work, so they are able to still deliver no matter the lockdown. So as you can see here, their advertising revenues and their revenue overall goes up, which if you add it to the cheap money that we mentioned before, they are doing very, very well. So of course, they start over hiring. As we can see here, Amazon almost duplicated their headcount between 2019 and 2022. Same with Meta, same with Snap, same with Salesforce, 67% people. Most tech companies took advantage of the situation and grew their workforce many times in double digits.
Everybody doesn't mind the overhiring, But when the slap comes on the other side, when the turn of events, these companies figure too, it's like been 15 years of this stuff. They're gonna have to do it forever. It's like, well, that's what the signaling was saying. Yes, we're gonna pump it forever. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
It was a big tech party, and that's when a lot of people got into the sector because, of course, you had these people showing how life is so amazing as a software engineer. You go and you have coffee with your buddies and you
The
play chess, and
lifestyle,
you can
not the
work next to a
work, the
Porsche doing
lifestyle.
over 6 figures. It's an amazing job, and if you're out doing something else, then you are a fool. And many existing software engineers got quite comfortable. It was a good market. I don't blame them. In the meantime, a lot of software engineers over specialized. What do I mean by over specializing? Well, big tech companies have big teams, so you can survive and you can get by just becoming the button developer.
Right. That's why I'm a KMP developer, because I could do all this stuff. I do all these things. I went through the freaking turmoil and the hatefulness to find out that, oh wait, KMP. Oh wait, I can just do one thing, and it really is going to be solid from here on out. Like we don't have to freaking switch out every 3 seconds. It's really based on something else. That's already firm. Okay, let's keep going.
And this is a true story. You had people, front-end engineers, getting paid 6-figure salaries to just sit around and fix a bug here and there. There was a lot of.
So this is also the scrumness where they're splitting everything up into little teams, and they're playing big company. Oh, I'm gonna be in a big factory, it's like all that stuff. So yes, they were able to split these things down. This you could do with 2 people, a back end person, because it's kind of a feel. You have to have that feeling in the back end, and a front end person. But there can be switching and vibing and all that stuff. You could get away with that now. But it is kind of feeling one way versus another. They have their own mindsets. The kind it is, you can't split it there. But we have to talk. We can't be adversational, and it's rare to find people that are like that. They want to go back to this stuff. They just want to do their little thing and not have to worry about anything else. And that's factory. That's factory mindset. And that's not going to cut it. And this next thing is just not going to cut it. Well, it only cut it because we had the cheap money. And we could throw a bunch of money at it. And it didn't matter because we had cheap money. But now that's gone. So that's not going to come back for a while. And so let's not even think about it. Let's try to actually serve a customer, serve a real user, and reduce these inefficiencies that are all over the industry. Instead of complaining when you want to get back into it, you can directly attack it. I know it's a lot to ask.
Around, and you could actually maintain these teams. But eventually, all good things come to an end, and they came to an end when this guy acquired Twitter and fired about 80% of people, trying to prove the world that he can actually run a company with a lot less people. Now, layoffs are very contagious, so we've seen a chain reaction, and of course, Google, Meta, Amazon jump into the layoff.
Yeah, they all when they find out it's okay to cut the fat and undo the mistake they just did, they want to do it quickly, and they wait for one guy to trigger, then they all do it. And they always go a little too far. It's like, ow! But they also don't want to correct some of these other things that may have to correct some other way.
These companies proceeded with mass layoffs, which led to the software job market basically imploding on itself. For the first time in decades, software engineers had to worry about the future and had
series of conflation of it, which were inevitable, by the way. It's not like, oh darn, oh shucks, we just could have had the 0% forever. And it's like, no, there was a brief moment of time when that was a thing. And it was people took extreme advantage of it. They pushed it to the limit. It was like renting a Lamborghini they didn't actually rent and have lots of insurance on. My dad paid for the insurance. Well, it wasn't really their dad, it was their kids. Jesse. They're paying for the insurance. So fucking... Oh, let's keep going.
Had less job security than almost a McDonald's employee, because no matter how Alphabet stock is doing, people still love hamburgers. All in all, in the last 5 years, more than 1 million people have been laid off by the tech industry. But wait, it gets even worse, because then OpenAI releases ChatGPT, and we see things like Copilot, DeepSeek, and Cloud coming up. Then
I was using this excuse to like, oh no, it's the AI. It's like, nah, you overhired. Now you're gonna use excuses. Big tech thing. It's not us. We didn't make a mistake. We didn't get greedy or anything. We would never. Corporations get greedy. How dare you? My pearls.
NVIDIA CEO says AI means everyone can be a programmer. So it's not about you being unemployed. It's actually you won't have a future. And tech CEOs saw this as the perfect excuse to drive even more layoffs. Which actually brings us to today. Exactly. We are in one of the most crowded developer job markets we ever seen. A market where normal software engineering jobs get about
they still want to go and do the thing they were just doing, because they were told that's what tech was. The people that got in at this hype wave, this last one that flooded the market, they were told there would be unlimited latte buffets and nap pods and bring your dog to work. Let's go. Here. What are you doing? Keep going. All right, my computer's glitching out.
1,000 applicants or even 7,000 in some cases. What's actually happening, it's, as I mentioned, a big correction. Everything in nature follows a normal distribution, as we've seen in the last 5 years in software development job market, with so many people being compelled to become developers because of the nice salary, the nice lifestyle. We've seen a lot of mid-level and junior engineers coming into the sector. We had a huge influx of developers. And then, of course, companies, as I said, had a lot of free cash.
Low
They were
interest
hiring all these
rates.
people, and they need to create an engine.
Also, low interest in actually doing the job. They just want to pay the salary. The job is fucked, man. The job is like a slopping toilets. It's so brutal, especially with these tool set. Oh man, KMP was a breath of fresh air. It's like if we had continued going in the direction of the React uploads, like we got a new paradigm and we have to change your whole app. It's like but you said this paradigm was like, nope. We're functional now. That was class based. So rip out your app, start over. The KMP was a breath of fresh air. Compose is a breath of fresh air that revived the whole thing. And then having the AI autocomplete to let you do this cross-platform stuff easily if you are a real developer and you can know how stuff has to work, not in the freaking all the details, but how generally how things are set up, and you can read documentation, or you could use a chat to help you read and understand what the hell's going on. Yeah.
Manager layer to manage those people, right? So the curve got skewed on both sides. Now, a new world order, it's being established, and they started even before 2024, where this curve, of course, like everything in nature, has to move towards a normal distribution again, which is why junior and mid developer are not finding any open jobs. Almost all new job openings are looking for senior devs or senior level of skill. On the other side, engineering managers are also being let go. We've seen Amazon doing that. We've seen every company from Meta to Alphabet trying to eliminate management layers. The funny part is that
Good. They should have done that, but they have to because honestly, the AI. So what I'm also seeing is that these engineering managers who are getting laid off are going to try to go back to be a senior. And because their resumes look fucking good, even they know how to pad it up and speak about everything, right? And they can fake their way through on the job to figure stuff out because they've been working with this stuff. So those people who got laid off involuntarily and are going into retirement, they are going to come into this market as well. So it's getting crunched on both sides. That's why it's like, you have to be really good to get in this market right now, because also the companies don't have money to buy. So the number of companies that they're all cutting their budgets, trying to survive and eke it out the next week. So we can just make it 6 months. There's a lot of stuff like that happening on skeleton crews, and that's going to wipe out a bunch of these businesses. So this is the clear out part of the phase of the business cycle, where you can still, if you're still making stuff and creating connections and making YouTube channels and like developing stuff and creating things and trying to make stuff happen, there's going to be an upswing at some point. And a lot of the people who are in these junior and early mid roles are just never going to come back because they're going to get burned by this whole thing. It's like, tech is stupid. And they got in at the very top of it, bought in, and now the market's going dipping down. They're like, I've lost my life savings. It's like, yeah, it was overblown though. It's like you probably shouldn't have been here to begin with, because I don't know if I've been in the tech a while. It goes up and down like this, and this is one of the most gnarliest dips though, because I think so many people were delusional about what tech was or how it could work, and also the lifestyle. They said, hey man, all I gotta do is learn this React stuff. All right. And then they're like, okay, here's my 6 figures because you look good and you speak well. And that's how that's how real interviews are ended. They're within 15 seconds. Only 5 seconds. Yeah. So those people got in, and now that because there was a greedy thing happening with the corporations wanting to get all these companies, so because they thought wave was gonna go on forever because nobody was saying no and didn't want to look at reality, which always slaps people in the face. Boom. But the conflation of events, especially with the AI thing coming online, and then the managers seeing that, oh, I don't have the notes I'm taking. The AI can take notes for people like super easy, and the meeting notes and summaries, and you don't have to be the manager anymore and see the messages back and forth. People just look directly, and the manager now has to be involved back in doing some production, either creating website copy, talking like users, doing sales, seeing meeting objections, competitive analysis, all that stuff. You can't just sit there and check boxes anymore.
Mid-level used to be the mid of the curve. The senior full stack developer is the most demanded profile, and it's becoming kind of the mid of the normal distribution. This is where the market is converging to, not reflecting the actual skill of software engineers, which is why there is a mismatch between what the market needs and what a lot of the software engineers out there looking for positions have to offer. Again, the job market is going through a major correction, and everything is converging towards the senior level. It's not that companies only want senior devs. They really don't. But what they don't want is juniors, because
Right. Well, they don't want everybody that just knows one thing. You got to know the full whole thing. And I do feel like really blessed that I was able to, so first of all, start programming when I was young, when it was just a very nerdy thing to do, like Magic the Gathering cards, playing that. It was like that was considered that. So I feel lucky that way. But I also feel lucky I've been involved with like the last boot campy thing, which I would think senior devs going to boot camps is super fun. Now it's like I don't know why people don't do it. So I went to an Android one, which was super fun. I learned a lot, but the last one I went to, Hack Reactor, was the full stack. So it's like you're not trying to specialize in anything. You're trying to do the whole. We got exposed to all kinds of stuff, and it was like drinking from a fire hydrant. Now that was way when I went then, but it's not like that now, and it's shut down a long time ago, so it doesn't matter. But with that experience, showed me that like there's just a lot of different approaches to doing things, and that building things that work yourself all the way from the beginning, from the start to the end, from the back to the front, and deploying them is a super important skill that a lot of these bootcamp devs that just don't have. They just do the React, or they're told the back end is just an SQL database query. It's like, no, man. No, it's this other thing. And then I don't know of any boot camps around that even have that. It's more like you kind of have to put that two and two together on your own.
What they actually don't want is inefficiency. They can't afford them. With inflation being so high and the economy not doing that well, nobody has time for people who cannot deliver from day one. The more interesting question is, what can you do as a software engineer to thrive in this new world order? And I think this applies to you whether you are a junior, mid-level, or even a senior dev. You will be affected by this new situation. Competition is higher even at senior level, so pay attention. Well, as Charles Darwin said, it's not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent that survives. It's the one that is the most adaptable to change. And the keyword for the next age of software engineering that we are getting in, it's adaptability, which is why, again, the full stack engineer, the most adaptable engineer, is the one that will do best in this market. The first thing you want to do is to manage your own expectations.
So Campy is a full stack thing, because you could like start with just doing Android, or you can start with doing the back end, and then you can, once you know the Kotlin and the libraries and all the stuff that goes along with in the ecosystem, you could just flip over and start doing front end stuff. And once you learn Compose, then you can start doing Android apps, desktop app, web apps with just that one skill set. And if you need to do something more specific, more specialized, you can then jump down and do that stuff too for each one of the platforms. It's awesome, man.
It's a cycle. This thing happened in the past. The economy will recover. This is not the end of software engineering as we know it. Actually, what usually happens in these cycles is that when the cycle ends, the industry expands. We've seen this back in
because there's companies who survive that low part, even when it's fucked. They were able to survive it somehow because usually they have a customer base that they're actually serving, and that they can grow somehow, some way. And they've achieved some level of efficiency without dicking around with 15 managers. Yeah, so that's why we get the pump after that. That's how it always works. And this is the dry spell before the pump happens. And all those companies are forming now, and are, if they have the right attitude and actual customers, they grow.
In the 2000s, we've seen it in 2009, and we are going to see it again in 2025 and beyond. As you can see here, even after the famous dot-com bubble popped up, the tech sector recovered in about less than 3 to 5 years. Now, this happened 20 years ago. Tech industry was not as
big. It's way faster now. It's way faster now. That's the thing. So it's not as slow. There's other factors at play, but this recovery is inevitable because there's not many other places to go. You're not going to make a new railroad. We're not going to do a new airline system. We're going to do like a new type of shipping. Maybe drones. I don't know, but
today
that would be the tech, is the drone shipping. Like you have some new breakthrough that makes it super cheap for all that. And it doesn't make it annoying, and it's some sound deadening thing where people don't even know they're there.
Which means that the recovery today will be much faster because software has made its way into everything we do on a daily basis. Like a good mentor of mine used to say, there is no non-tech company today. All companies are tech companies. The second
thing, that's the only place we are growing. What are you doing? Like a new airline? What are you gonna do? A new heating system? A new cooling system?
What you want to do here is to look outside the fan.
I mean, maybe, but that'd be the tech, right? We're back to tech again.
As you can see in this graph, most tech talent is not working anymore at high-tech companies. Actually, 60% of them work at non-tech companies. As a number of of tech workers grows, non-tech companies have hired more IT workers than the
Well, the non-tech are tech. So I get his point. Yeah.
tech business this
Not
year.
the standard like, oh, we're Facebook. It's like some company, some train company goes, no, we're gonna efficientize our loads by some blah 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 blah, and that's why we need you there to do the tech part of this thing that we're some working with cranes.
Here, this is from 2024. I know here on YouTube there is an obsession with FANG jobs. I think that's definitely over invested. Honestly, there
Oh
are
yeah,
tons
so
of
that's
amazing
not
companies that need software engineers and are not tech companies. And you know what? You can do better than these guys. Also,
right. You can do better than these. Let's look at the picture. No. We're gonna look at the picture. Let's look at the memes. Look at the Bezos. Elon Musk, I'm so based. Lucky.
also, make sure you read the small print. Going back to the graph with the number of open tech jobs. Keep in mind this graph, for example, it's only tracking tech companies. For example,
Right.
Walmart, Disney, Visa, JP Morgan, and the New York Times are not considered tech companies in
Interesting.
this analysis.
Those all are though, big time.
The actual number of open tech jobs might be a lot higher, given
Yeah, but the thing is, they still haven't gotten the signal to rehire yet. So that's the thing right now. We're still in the dark, dry period where all the wannabe posers, as we used to say as a skateboard community, all the posers get shaken out, and the real homies are left. That were into it no matter what. They were in it to win it. This is what they do. This is what how they've seen their life and how they want to serve their fellow man. And they have that attitude of serving their fellow man, not scamming or taking advantage of or using their fellow man. Like truly wanting them. Whatever you're doing, truly do think about them as if they were you.
Even that those companies are driving most of the hiring. Even indicators such as the number of openings on websites like Indeed are not accurate because Indeed doesn't have access to major corporate websites where jobs are being advertised. So don't get fooled by pretty graphs. Get to full stack, get to senior. The age of the
You'll know by the tweets. You'll know it's over by the tweets. When people are like, oh, see, we're coming at I think we've seen the bottom of it. I don't think it's going to go much lower, but it's going to bottom out for a while and flush as people go, I can't take it. They start going off to other things, and they go out of the market. And as the hiring comes back, they're like, I'm not coming back. I can't come back. And the people that are always there just go.
Very specialized developer, it's over. The age of the generalized specialist just started. This does not mean you need to become a jack or Jane of all trades and you need to try to learn everything. It means that if you are someone who spent few years within their own specialization, being backend, frontend, it's time for you to add some generic skills and make sure you are more best.
KMP makes it easy. That's just an easy choice. Super easy choice, especially for backend developers. Want to come to the front end and to leverage if you know good Java, you can switch to Kotlin. It doesn't hurt. Don't you? It'll be nicer. It's a nicer experience, and you can just let your statics go.
Satire, and you can contribute across the stack, meaning that even if your project gets canceled, you can move on to another project or another company and still be able to add value. And if you're looking to do that, the best way to start is by knowing your technical gaps.
Oh yeah, you can just do that one. Let them do that. All right, give me a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. And keep ranting. I'll keep ranting. You can't stop me. I'm on the internet.